Today on Grim Future, we're going to talk about Looper, a 2012 sci-fi thriller directed by Rian Johnson and starring Bruce Willis and Joseph Gordon-Levitt as two versions of the same character. Looper is a complex movie that explores the paradoxes and consequences of time travel, so buckle up and get ready for a mind-bending ride. The movie is set in two different time periods, 2044 and 2074. In 2044, time travel has not been invented yet, but it will be in 2074. However, it will also be illegal and only used by crime syndicates to dispose of their enemies. They send their targets back in time to 2044, where they are killed by assassins called loopers. Loopers are paid with silver bars strapped to the victims' backs, but they also know that one day they will have to kill their own future selves, who will be sent back with gold bars instead. This is called closing the loop, and it's supposed to erase any trace of the looper's existence. The protagonist of the movie is Joe, a looper played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt. He is addicted to a drug called Dropper, which he administers through his eyes. He also has a dream of moving to France and learning French. One day he goes to his usual spot in a cornfield to execute his next target, but he is shocked to see that it's his older self, played by Bruce Willis. Old Joe has no hood or restraints, and he manages to knock out young Joe and escape. This is a big problem for young Joe because if he fails to close his loop, he will be hunted down by his boss Abe and his henchmen known as Gatmen. Abe is also from the future, and he oversees the Looper operation in 2044. One of his Gatmen is Kid Blue, a young and reckless wannabe who has a grudge against Joe. Old Joe has a mission of his own. He wants to kill a mysterious figure called the Rainmaker, who rules the crime world in 2074 and is responsible for closing all the loops. Old Joe knows that the Rainmaker is a child in 2044, and he has three possible locations where he might be. He also has a motive. In his original timeline, he did close his loop and lived happily with his wife in Shanghai until she was killed by the Rainmaker's men. Young Joe wakes up in his apartment and finds it ransacked by the Gatmen. He fights with Kid Blue and escapes with a piece of paper that has Old Joe's three locations. He decides to go to one of them, a farm owned by Sarah, played by Emily Blunt. Sarah lives with her son Sid, who is a very smart but troubled kid. Young Joe lies to Sarah and says that he's a friend of her sister. He hopes to find Old Joe there and kill him before the Gatmen find him. Meanwhile, Old Joe goes to another location and offs a child who might be the Rainmaker. He then goes to a diner and meets young Joe there. They have a tense conversation where Old Joe tries to convince young Joe to let him go and save his wife's life. He also tells him that Sid is the real Rainmaker and that he has a powerful telekinetic ability that allows him to manipulate objects and people with his mind. Telekinesis is a common mutation in 2044, but most people can only levitate coins or lighters. Sid is an exception, and he can cause massive destruction when he gets angry or scared. Young Joe doesn't believe Old Joe and tries to shoot him, but Old Joe escapes once again. Young Joe returns to Sarah's farm and forms a bond with her and Sid. He learns that Sarah is Sid's biological mother and that she left him with her sister when he was born because she was afraid of him. She later came back to take care of him and protect him from anyone who might harm him or use him. Old Joe tracks down young Joe at the farm and prepares to kill Sid, but is ambushed by the Gatmen who followed him there. A shootout ensues, and young Joe helps Sarah and Sid hide in an underground bunker. Old Joe kills most of the Gatmen, but Kid Blue survives and shoots him in the leg. Old Joe then sees Sid coming out of the bunker and aims at him. Sid freaks out. He unleashes his telekinetic power and causes a huge blast that kills Kid Blue and sends Old Joe flying. Sarah runs to Sid and hugs him, trying to calm him down. Young Joe gets up and sees them together. He realizes that Sarah is the one who can change Sid's future and prevent him from becoming the Rainmaker. He also realizes that if he kills Sid, he will create a paradox and repeat the same cycle. Young Joe makes a choice. He shoots himself in the chest, erasing old Joe's existence, saving Sarah, and leaving Sid's future as the Rainmaker in question. Thank you for embracing another grim future. Please like and subscribe before the self-aware cyborg superflu disables the internet.